suffered losses that must not be forgotten. Together we can help them rebuild and recover. Together we are LA Strong, LA United, with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey Zoe, I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
Who is the observer? You look at those trees, a field full of cows or sheep. You see the horizon lit up by morning sun. How do you observe all that? If you ever do. When you look at a tree or a house, your very perception of looking is blocked by the word you use, right? You understand? I can look at a Frenchman and say, oh, he's a Frenchman. That means I have all my prejudices, all my knowledge of the French comes in between me and observing a man who calls himself French, right? So can I look at him without all the prejudices, antagonism? Can you? So the observer is the past, right? Are you following this? So the observer is full of his past knowledge. Whether that knowledge is absurd, silly, or actual, that knowledge is blocking my observation, right?
Pause that. Knowledge is the past. The words I use define the past. You see, he's speaking psychologically. So you can't see your partner in the now because of what they've done to you. Do you see? That's where he's going. I want you guys to understand. That's what he said. When I meet the Frenchman, I meet centuries of what it means to be French, right? I don't meet the man, I meet the Frenchman. Do you see? Do you see? Now watch how this all ties into why we really can't communicate. See, I'm tired of all of the, what's the number one thing to keep relationships together? Communication. Most people are liars. They might tell you some semblance of the truth, a portion of the truth, right? But if they don't really accept the full truth of who they are, how can they tell you the full truth? Do you see? Many people speak with an agenda, correct, true monger. But do you see how Krishnamurti is building this up, right? He's talking about psychological, right? The past, the psychological impact of what has happened. You never see your partner the same again, do you? You never see them the same again. If they hurt you, they are an entirely different person. I can tell you all day long on all of these shows, everybody's a work in progress. Bottom line is, whatever work you're in progress doing, it should not negatively affect me. Allow Brother Murti to finish.
Right? And we're following this. Now, to observe my relationship with my wife or husband, I must observe without any previous accumulated incidents, knowledge, all that. Is that possible? You understand my question? Otherwise, I never see my wife for the first time. You understand?
Come on, keep cooking.
I'm always looking at her with all the memories of 1,000 days. Now, is that a fact that I'm looking at another from the past knowledge, and therefore it is a living thing can never be observed with with a limited knowledge, and knowledge is always limited. You understand?
Stop.
living-
A living thing can never be observed, right? With limited knowledge is what he said. We're bottom liners. Bottom line, you hurt me. Bottom line, you disappointed me. Bottom line, you didn't produce what I thought you would produce for me. So by not doing that, I get to label you. Are you, before I even go there, sorry. Let me just hit you one more time. When you haven't started the healing process, when you haven't gotten into you and started to dismantle you and break you down, right? And overcome some of the you obstacles that you bring to intimate relationships, right? When you haven't done that, what happens is you become a linguistic terrorist. You can't have real conversations because you haven't conquered anything within yourself. See, I told you, the problem with intimate relationships today is that they're all external. I'll love you if you love me. I'll care for you if you care for me. Nobody is caring by default. Nobody is empathetic. Well, not nobody. That's unfair. Some but all. I'll say most people. They can't give without getting something in return. Right? So what happens is, because you haven't started the healing process, because you haven't had any internal battles where you've won some over yourself, I've won my isolationist mentality. I've won it, right? I can be a part of a crowd and still not be a part of a crowd, but still contribute and be present. Do you see? A lot of people don't know how to do that. So it turns into expectations for the significant other to fulfill. And when it's time to have real conversations, hurtful conversations, sometimes conversations that may or may not be perceived as conflictual, they become linguistic terrorists. Are you a linguistic terrorist? A deeper look at relational bondage through wordplay. Krishnamurti said it this way: we live on words and delight in the sensations they produce. And it is these sensations that have become so important. Words are satisfying because their sounds reawaken forgotten sensations. And their satisfaction is greater when words are substituted for the actual, for what is. Listen, I can give you sweet nothings to get you over the difficult moment, but once you get past the difficult moment, whatever that needed to be resolved is still waiting for your attention, your emotional attunement. And that is something your partner can't give. Weaponized silence. How avoidant attachment styles turn communication into a battlefield. We're going to explore how individuals use emotional withdrawal as a covert form of conflict control. Oh, Lord. We're going to expose the link between early attachment trauma and adult emotional unavailability. 1-800-920-1580. Are avoidant attachment styles inadvertently perpetuating relational dysfunction by prioritizing control over connection? 1-800-920-1580. The Narcissist Playbook: how gaslighting and word salads erase your reality. We're going to investigate how narcissists exploit confusion to maintain dominance in relationships. 1-800-920-1580. I know you guys are not ready tonight. Are narcissistic communication tactics a defense mechanism or deliberate strategy for control? Oh, my goodness. 1-800-920-1580. The anatomy of avoidance. Why we fear deep conversations and intimacy. We're going to dissect the psychological, cultural, and emotional reasons behind conflict avoidance. See, this show is not a plaything. Y'all want to play. Y'all want to have superficial conversations about politics. Yeah, let's get into the nuts and bolts of... Y'all want to have superficial conversations about relationships. Oh my God! When are weaves going out of style? What should we talk about during the first date? And when do we start talking about our bills and our credit scores? We have simple, stupid conversations. I'm sorry, they're very superficial. This is the real work on this show. We're not gonna play no reindeer games with you, right? How society rewards surface-level connections over vulnerability. Does our aversion to difficult conversations reflect a fear of intimacy or a fear of ourselves? Emotional saboteurs. Why we use defective tactics to, quote-unquote, win in intimate relationships. We're going to analyze how manipulative communication tactics are rooted in unprocessed emotional wounds. The hidden costs of winning arguments at the expense of trust and connection. Is it possible to unlearn manipulative behaviors in society if society normalizes these as survival skills? 1-800-920-1580. Get to your phone lines. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. We're going to challenge the idea that conflict is inherently negative by reframing it as an opportunity for growth. But in order to grow, those muscles must tear. Those patterns must be deconstructed. right? We're going to talk about how avoidance and narcissists perceive vulnerability as a weakness. 1-800-920-1580. Do you want to be vulnerable tonight? Do you want to have an open, knockdown, drag-out conversation tonight? I would like to have it, because any relationship that can survive that is stronger because of that. 1-800-920-1580. Can conflict be redefined as a bridge to deeper intimacy rather than a threat to control? 1-800-920-1580. Get to your phone lines. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Emotional literacy, the missing link in the battle for authentic communication. Right? We're going to position emotional literacy as the antidote to manipulative communication tactics. 1-800-920-1580. The role of emotional intelligence is dismantling the patterns of avoidance and narcissism. Can emotional literacy be taught to adults, or is it an innate skill only cultivated in childhood? The trauma behind the tactics, why we avoid conversations that matter. Y'all know how I do when I set up these conversations. Are you a linguistic terrorist? Do you stonewall? Do you gaslight? Right? I want to know. Why won't you have the vulnerable conversations that reveals the underbelly of your unhealed self? Why wouldn't you do that with your significant other if you actually love them? When we come forward, the voice of reason gonna keep the fire lit.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. Sign up for Notify LA on your phone to get fire danger alerts and updates, or check on lafd.org. The Watch Duty app is free and provides wildfire maps and updates in real time. Keep your gas tank full and plan your route in case you have to leave the area. City and county officials are urging you to pack a go bag so you can be ready to leave your home quickly in case of an evacuation order. Your go bag should include a couple of days of clothing, copies of your important documents and ID, money, insurance information, your medications, electronic devices, batteries, chargers, a small radio, and emergency contacts. If you receive an evacuation order, gather your loved ones, grab your bag, your pet food, and leave immediately. For information on shelters for your pets or even your family, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 county-wide. Wearing a mask outside will help protect you from smoke, toxic fume, and particulate matter. If you don't need to go out, it's best to stay home with the windows closed. Getting to know your neighbors is a great way to stay safe, stay connected, and share resources. And Angelinos are stepping up to help, so reach out and find the assistance you need. Mutual Aid LA Network is constantly updating a Google Sheet with mutual aid resources. You can find it at tiny.cc-malan-fire. The earlier you make a plan, the better off you'll be when every second counts. Praying for LA, preparing, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. PST or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
I've been watching you for so very long, trying to get my nerve built up to be so strong. I really want to meet you, but I'm kind of scared, 'cause you're the kind of lady with so much class. I get my thoughts together for the very next day, but when I see you, lady, I forget what to say. Your eyes and hair, such a beautiful tone. The way you dress and walk, it really turn me on. Yeah. Ooh, you really turn me on. Come on, come on, come on, come and talk to me. I really wanna meet you. Can I talk to you? I really wanna know you.
Two argument styles that most of us engage in at some point that can really get in the way of our relationships and also the search for the truth in a conversation. First one, straw manning. This is where we distort some aspect of what the person is saying to us, and then we argue against the distortion, which was never what the person actually said or intended. Number two, arguing ad hominem. This is where instead of disputing the issue at hand, you start attacking the person as if they are the problem rather than the problem is the problem.
Straw manning and ad hominem attacks. Well, we got a couple of more for the linguistic terrorist, right? The word salad, a confused or meaningless mixture of words and phrases when speaking. Word salads can be found in various contexts, but are especially common amongst people with certain mental health conditions or neurological disorders such as schizophrenia or dementia. So if you're acting as if you have dementia and you don't, you're hiding something. Ad hominem, as she mentioned, from the Latin meaning towards the man, an attempt to shift the conversation by getting personal. Woo, here go one. I know there are a lot of people that's guilty of this. Tell me they're not guilty of this, Andy. Intentional vagueness. Saying something so vague as to be meaningless or open to multiple interpretations. Linguistic terrorism. You talking about, oh, you got to have good communication in relation. Do you know how many people have horrible communication? False equivalence, attempting to equate vastly different situations to one's advantage. Lesser of two evils, right? Giving someone only two undesirable options, of which one is far more catastrophic. These tactics are tools used to manipulate others for the sake of maintaining conversational and relational power dynamics. They serve to keep suspecting parties from recognizing the way recognizing the ways they are being mistreated, and furthermore to psychologically bully them into submission. And this is cold. This happens a lot. Right? Let's not sit out there in radio land and act like you guys aren't experiencing this to some degree. What are some underlying intentions associated with those who utilize linguistic terrorism? Can linguistic terrorist tactics be used unintentionally, or are they solely the work of malice and or sabotage? Right? This is deep, man. This is deep. What roles do insecure attachment styles play in adopting tactics like these? How might becoming more secure serve to eradicate linguistic terrorism tactics? Does our attachment style dictate our likelihood of being a linguistic terrorist? How do our struggles to become more securely attached, right, resurface in our communications? 1-800-920-1580. Get on your phone lines. I want to talk to you. Do we result to controlling narratives about our partners when we are unwilling to face the reality of who we have been to them in the relationship? Can our way of communication be made separate from our intent? True or false? Our wounds are more interested in the feelings that the words produce rather than the intent behind them. That is such a powerful question. I want to say it again. True or false? Do you agree? 1-800-920-1580. Get to your phone lines right now. Our wounds are more interested in the feelings that the words produce rather than the intent behind them. How does linguistic terrorism function as a mechanism to assert control in interpersonal dynamics? And can it stem from unconscious fears of vulnerability? What psychological motivations drive individuals to employ tactics such as word salad, ad hominem attacks, or intentional vagueness in intimate relations? What's going on? When I come forward, I'm going to hear from you, and we're going to get the truth tonight.
I really wanna know. Oh, 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 oh. There you are again, with the same smile each day. I wanna know what it is that make you feel this way. I wish I could grab you, tell you what it means to me, to see you walking by a wave that really makes my
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Southern California Edison is being sued over claims its electrical equipment is responsible for starting one of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. Investigators are examining the site, now off limits. The New Hampshire Supreme Court rejected a lawsuit against white supremacist group NSC 13, ruling 4-0 that their 2022 Keep New England White banner in Portsmouth did not violate the Civil Rights Act, citing free speech protections. Prominent Black Granada civil rights attorney Carlos Moore has been suspended from practicing law in Mississippi for 1 year. The suspension, issued December 31st, follows an investigation revealing he misdirected $300,000 from a settlement. And Orlando, Florida is celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. this week, starting with a vigil, march, and interfaith service at Shiloh Baptist Church. The city has officially proclaimed this week Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Week. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
To our beloved greater Los Angeles community affected by the devastating wildfires, we stand with you. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, our hearts go out to those who've lost loved ones, homes, businesses, belongings, and precious memories. In these challenging times, we're here to keep you informed and connected. For the latest updates, resources, and ways to help your neighbors in need, stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we'll rebuild. Together, we'll recover. Together, we are Los Angeles strong. KBLA Talk 1580. Your voice, your community, your station.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. You know, I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Refund advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank, N.A. or WebBank. Terms apply, subject to approval.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You ever notice defensiveness showing up in your marriage and getting in the way of solving issues with your spouse? If so, you want to listen to this. My name is Jasmine. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm also a relationship coach, and I teach Christian couples how to fix communication issues. So there are 3 factors that really increase defensiveness for folks. Number 1 is trauma, number 2 is insecurities, and number 3 is fear of vulnerability. So when you've experienced trauma, what you're likely to do is protect yourself emotionally, right? It's a coping mechanism that you develop to avoid emotional pain. Maybe you feel anxious about how you'll be perceived by other people, which leads to you defending yourself. And then when it comes to fear of vulnerability, a lot of folks who struggle with this are really avoiding being rejected. Recognizing these triggers are really important in your road to healing from this. So if you are interested in learning more about this, DM me Transform or comment below Transform, and I'll send you a link to my free online community where I do weekly trainings and offer free resources for healthy and effective community.
Are you a linguistic terrorist? A deeper look at relational bondage through wordplay. The weaponization of words, language, often heralded as the bridge to understanding, can also serve as a tool for division, manipulation, and control. The concept of linguistic terrorism refers to the deliberate or unconscious use of language to dominate or destabilize interpersonal relationships. Some of this stuff is rooted in attachment theory. Some of it is rooted in adverse childhood experiences, aka ACEs. Some of it is rooted in complex trauma, CPTSD. This phenomena manifests through tactics like word salads, ad hominem attacks, circular reasoning, deflection. Of course, J. Krishnamurti aptly observed, "We live on the words and delight in the sensations they produce, but what happens when those sensations trigger unhealed wounds instead of fostering connections?" On tonight's topic, we're going to explore the interplay between language, power, and relational wounds, highlighting how linguistic tactics mirror internal conflicts and examine why accountability remains essential for healing and growth. Linguistic terrorism operates as a defensive mechanism, often employed by individuals grappling with unacknowledged fears, vulnerabilities, or unresolved trauma. Avoidant communication styles characterized by deflection and vagueness frequently underlie these behaviors. In attachment theory, it provides a crucial lens for understanding the roots of such dynamics. Insecure attachment, often formed in childhood through inconsistent caregiving or emotional neglect, fosters a defensive approach to intimacy. You're at war, but this war is internal first. You see? Adults with these attachment patterns may resort to linguistic manipulation to maintain emotional distance or avoid vulnerability outright. Here we go. We got callers on the line. I want to get them in here. Are you a linguistic terrorist because you're unhealed? Let's find out. Chakra Guru, College Station, Texas. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Man, peace, and prayers and blessings to all the people out in Altadena and Pasadena. But I'm going to just jump right into it. As far as the topic is concerned, I think as it applies to me, if I just step back into how I started to exhibit these characteristics, I'm definitely going to say I'm guilty. I think in the beginning it was like the good God finished last. So with all the education and all the things that I've learned through my life experiences, right, just to nip it in the bud, I weaponized education. I weaponized people skills, having to gift the gab, because as this quote unquote good guy or whatever, I was once told that I tell on myself, because often in my pursuit of quote unquote happiness, I would just fall on my own sword and just reveal all, right? But a lot of what I shared was later on weaponized.
So wait, you were oversharing.
So,
Why were you oversharing?
I felt like if I gave my complete and utter truth, then
It would be
as they
respected.
say,
It would be accepted.
it would be exactly, yes. And so I thought that was going to at least lead me, or that was the first step in the path to what I assume to be a happy relationship.
So let me stop you there.
Not
Let
knowing.
me
Yep.
stop you just real quick. Did you get it because, or did you give it because that's just who you are? A giver, a sharer of information. I'm going to share.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to be honest. Or did you do it with an agenda?
I did it because that's just who I am, and that's something that my dad told me was something that I need to be aware of.
I don't know if that's true, because just a moment ago you said you did it because you thought by doing it, it would secure the relationship you were in pursuit of.
Well, I felt at the time that it was one and the same, because I am in pursuit of a happy relationship, and in getting there, I'm just going to be who I am.
Well, in order to have a happy relationship, you've got to be in one. And the one that you have to be in is the one with yourself. And if you're people pleasing through oversharing, it sounds like you're after what?
Validation.
Come on. I'm listening to you. These are your answers.
Right. Seeking out
approval, acceptance, acknowledgement, validation.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. I'm trying to fill a void that the happiness obviously coming later on, it comes from within, but I'm seeking it from other people, thinking that they're going to provide me with a fullness and getting that check. Like, okay, you did everything that you're supposed to do, therefore we're going to be happy because of what you did. But
so that makes you a linguistic terrorist, because you're sharing, and it's really a form of manipulation, if we want to be honest. You're trying to elicit a particular response and reaction using your communication. Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you see?
I do see.
Now, ask yourself a question. What's the attachment style? Yours.
I would say fearful avoidant.
Boom. Boom. So what do fearful avoidants want? They want closeness and separation. They want intimacy, and they want to be alone. They want intimacy and independence. And they're vacillating back and forth. Now, I personally don't want you to guess. You either go set up a counseling session with a therapist, or you go online and you take the test honestly. Right? Now, when was the last time you took the test? Or did you take the test ever?
I've taken the test multiple times.
And what does it come out as?
Others. I'll just say that I can't trust the last results.
First off, you done took the test multiple times, so clearly you don't trust the test, but that's fine. What does it come out normally as?
It comes back as a cure.
Just like it did for my brother in here. But, I believe this is why I think you should do the therapy piece. Because a lot of times people are intelligent enough, especially if they're familiar with the languaging and the phrasing. And, people are familiar with attachment theory because TikTok and internet, it's just blew up. So people know how to answer the ideal question. You've taken those tests.
I studied it in undergrad.
Exactly. You know how to take a test to answer it to get the result you want. But I don't think you can hide, if you go sit down with a therapist and you get transparent and you get honest. You feel me? I guess you can hide with a therapist, because many narcissists know how to manipulate and hide from therapists, for sure. Sometimes the therapist be rooting for the narcissist because they understand the process. I think either or, if you're taking the test or you're sitting with a therapist, there has to be transparency, openness, and honesty on your end so you can get an accurate read. But if you're performing by saying, in the 8th grade, I wrote my first play, and my favorite food is cafeteria pizza. And that's all beautiful. That's all cool. But if you recognize that you attract people who pull back from that, right? You have to realize that maybe that isn't the tactic you should be using in order to communicate. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
It's interesting, man. Interesting stuff. Now, have you ever overshared and it worked? Let's hear that. Worked is the word.
Yeah, I would
Wait,
say that
stay with me right there. Don't say nothing. When we come forward, we're going to go back to College Station, Texas. He's cooking.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
My mother faced the same challenges that I had growing up. She was smoking, so I started smoking too. My mom got sick. Seeing her on a breathing machine, I had to open my eyes. Do I want to be another product of my environment or help change the world?
Keenan ended the cycle of nicotine addiction in his family. You can too. For free support, text KICK Nicotine to 66819 today.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in tough times, connecting you with resources and what you need to know. Evacuation shelters are located in the Pasadena Civic Center, the Dream Center in LA, the Westwood Recreation Center, and many more. You can call 311 for details. If you're in Los Angeles County and in need of food, call Omni Ministries at 310-631-1557. Donations can be made to Zelle, Omni Ministries, Inc. at yahoo.com. Parking Lot I outside of Rose Bowl Stadium is a pop-up mutual aid hub where you can pick up everything from clothing to food to hygiene supplies for free. To volunteer or donate to help victims of the fire, contact the LA Emergency Network at enla.org. The Cochran Firm and Ivy McNeil, Wyatt Purcell and Diggs, Jasmine Canick, and others have launched a GoFundMe specifically targeting Altadena. Visit LA Fires. The impacted Black community urgently needs help on GoFundMe, and donate to help Black evacuees fighting for survival. Airbnb is offering free temporary housing to people displaced by the fires. Call 211 to sign up. The LA Chamber of Commerce is stepping up to help you sort out insurance claims and other paperwork. Reach them at 213-580-7500. South LA Cafe has free groceries, clothing, and water available at 1700 Browning Boulevard in LA. Track their giveaways or volunteer through their Instagram at South LA Cafe. U-Haul is donating short-term storage free of charge for 30 days to evacuees. Shelter for small or large animals can be accessed by calling 211. A Black-led coalition of community organizations is offering support and resources in the Altadena area at the Flint Ridge Center at 236 West Mountain Street in Pasadena. For comprehensive lists of resources for housing, food, shelter, and more, visit Mutual Aid LA Network on Instagram. Praying for LA and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Feeling
narcissistic people do have this need for control and domination over others, but if they were honest about their intent, well, they probably wouldn't get very far. By leveraging linguistic ambiguity, nonsensical gobbledygook, technical jargon, emotive arguments, they can gain and maintain control over narratives, other people, and situations. By using various linguistic tactics, they can manipulate perceptions and behaviours to serve their own interests and avoid facing consequences for their actions. By leveraging emotive arguments, they can exploit their target's vulnerabilities, manipulate their emotions, and coerce them into compliance. As I often say, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Wow, there's tactics, man, and when I see it, let me tell you, people get really upset when you call them out, when you recognize the tactics being used against you. You can tell, oh, you've used this on someone else and it's worked. You know, there are styles, communication styles. There are styles, ladies and gentlemen. What are they? They're collaborative, cooperative, combative, competitive, avoidant. But then there are substrata of that. Are you assertive, aggressive, passive-aggressive, passive? You know what's interesting? Just like the attachment styles that John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth talked about, there are communication styles that we inherit from our upbringing, the way our families spoke. If you guys had the family that was always cracking jokes and clowning and talking about everything and cursing and nothing was off limits, maybe you take that style into your adult relationships. Or on the opposite end, what if you had the family that swept everything under the rug and saw conversation as a nuisance? Ooh, look at Andy. Andy like, whoa. Assertive communication style. Appropriately honest, direct, self-enhancing, expressive, self-confident, empathetic to emotions of all involved. I clearly express that we both have rights and needs. That's assertive. Aggressive, inappropriately honest. Can you, where y'all land at? Your relationship, your family. Which style are you taking into relationship? Are you assertive? Maybe you're aggressive. Inappropriately honest, direct, expressive, attacking, blaming, controlling, self-enhancing at the expense of others. Or maybe you're passive-aggressive, emotionally dishonest, indirect, self-denying at first, self-enhancing at the experience of others. What if you came from a household that was communicatively passive, emotionally dishonest, indirect, inhibited, self-denying, blaming, and apologetic? Styles, man. Styles make fights. Yo, we got our brother on the line, Chakra Guru, College Station. Get back in here.
Yes, sir.
So I was asking you before we came forward, did you like do this fawning? Because that's what it sounds like, fawning. You would just constantly, incessantly talk about you, and you're doing that to win this person over. It's almost like a sales pitch. My question is, did that work when you did that?
It did not work. And just in my defense,
well, what base did you get to?
Oh man, I loaded the bases and was Barry Bonds and knocking it out home run derby.
So how did it not work? If you knocking him out the park.
Well, we're talking about the difference between me just connecting with women on a physical level versus me actually finding the one that I wanted to be with.
So the body language, the body talk, that was cool. It was the spirit talk, the psychological talk, where you had to reveal and open up, and they had to reveal and open up. That's where the difficulties came in.
Right.
Interesting.
Because the sustainability was not there.
Mm. And you believe that is because of what on your end?
Because it was a facade. I think at some point it was just like, okay, well, what are we doing? And I had been performing for so long that once a gig was up, it was like,
So,
well, I'm kind of good.
You blowing my mind here. Your communication style was a part of a performance?
It was weaponized in that way such that I could get to what I wanted.
Don't you leave. When we come forward, this man is going to continue to reveal the truth of who he was, hopefully, on linguistic terrorism.